The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM and Hits 103.9 FM in Accra. In Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Volta Premier Hove, Amenuveve Aplao, Lolonyo FM Hohoi and ATL FM Cape Coast. Get radio, TV and online content on the myjoyonline.com interactive app. Coming up, Ghana's security arrangement is compromised and has lost trust. That's the verdict of security analyst Professor Kwesi Aning following damning revelations by prime witness Bugri Nabu in the plot to remove IGP before Parliament's investigative committee.
Well, I think it compromises at least the security arrangement, how much we can trust the way that security is provided.
Also, Minister for Agriculture Brian Echampon describes as an embarrassment Ghana's $2 million weekly importation of onions from Niger.
It was disclosed to me that on average, an amount of $2 million was spent weekly to import onion. I deem this as an embarrassment.
Details as President Akufo-Addo launches Phase 2 of the Planting for Food and Jobs program in business.
Prices of petroleum products remain unchanged in the first 2 weeks of September. Details on the Joy Business Report.
And later in the bulletin, in this week's edition of Stories of Hope, we delve into the inspiring journeys of two friends who transformed their unemployment status to entrepreneurs.
I wanted to build a platform that would help people to sit in the comfort of their home or office and then just plug in and get an apartment.
Googled to see if I can see any aquarium shops. So that is how come I started my aquarium.
Details of these and more coming up shortly. Please stay tuned. Now, Ghana's security arrangement is compromised and has lost trust. That's the verdict of security analyst Professor Kwesi Aning following damning revelations by prime witness Bugri Nabu in an alleged plot to remove IGP before Parliament's investigative committee. Director, Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Professor Aning says stringent penalties must be imposed to set an example and restore public trust in the security. We'll hear from him shortly. First, here's a wrap of the committee sitting yesterday.
The former Northern Regional Chairman of the MPP, Bugri Nabu, claims that he was approached by a senior officer with the rank of a commissioner in the Ghana Police Service. He said he was the mastermind behind the plot and introduced another senior officer he said was competent to replace IGP Akufo-Addo.
For them to appoint that commissioner, sorry.
He also alleged that the police officers revealed to him that the former president was given some slots by the Ghana Police Service to recruit officers.
He gave slot to NDC presidential man, and even the late vice wife, they all get slot.
Mr. Nabu further claimed he contacted the said officer after the tape was leaked, and he even threatened to deal with him.
I called Mr. Asari. I called and asked him who sent the tape into public domain, and he banged the phone on me. But rather, he sent a word through my son that will deal with me.
Bugri Nabu is the prime and first witness of this case being investigated by the Parliament Committee. Sitting resumes on Thursday. From Parliament House, Samuel Mbura, Joy News.
Professor Kwesi Aning believes the testimony raises questions about Ghana's security setup.
Well, I think it compromises at least the security arrangement, how much we can trust the way that security is provided. But even more importantly, this vicious manner in which a public official who is doing or who is performing the duties to which the state has authorized that person. But what it means is that people are desperate to manipulate the processes through which others come to power.
Now, two armed robbers have stabbed a gold buyer to death in Suberso near Benso in the Takwansua municipality of the Western region. The deceased, identified as Alaji, was attacked by the robbers at 4:30 a.m. while on his way to work. The incident was captured on a CCTV footage which shows the robbers approaching Alaji and stabbing him multiple times. The robbers then fled the scene, but one of them was later arrested by residents. They lynched him the angry residents lynched him while the other is currently on the run. The NPP's Elections Committee is set to hold a meeting with all aspirants today, aiming to address issues arising from the Superdelegates Conference. While specific details remain undisclosed, the discussions are expected to revolve around reported cases of violence at certain polling stations and concerns emerging from the Delegates Congress. Justin Frimpong-Kodia is the NPP's General Secretary.
Well, the meeting has been called by the Elections Committee. And fortunately, I'm not a member of the Elections Committee, but they've copied me of the intention to meet with the aspirants. And it's not the first time of them engaging the aspirants. Even prior to the Saturday, there were several meetings they were holding with the aspirants, in some cases with their representatives. So I believe it is part of their system of engaging with the aspirants to maybe discuss the aftermath of the elections, all geared towards ensuring unison.
According to him, the party won't coerce any of the two aspirants fighting for the fifth spot in the November elections to concede.
If you look at the MPP Constitution, Article 13(1)(9), it talks about selecting five contestants, but it didn't make provision for in case there is a tie. But also, Article 18 gives room to the party National Council to make rules and regulations to fill in the gap should there be in the Constitution. So fortunately for us, the National Council is meeting on Wednesday under an emergency meeting to look at it and see how best we can navigate the system. But on the part of the Elections Committee, they are clear in their mind that they may have to hold a runoff on Saturday, but that will be subject to what National Council will say on Wednesday.
Justin Frimpong-Kodia is General Secretary of the NPP. Minister for Agriculture Brian Achampon has described as an embarrassment Ghana's $2 million weekly importation of onions from Niger. Prices of onions are beginning to soar as there is no end in sight for the political crisis in Niger after the 26th July coup, which toppled President Mohamed Bazoum. Many trucks are unable to move to Ghana as a result of the border closures. The minister spoke during the launch of Phase 2 of the Planting for Food and Jobs program.
Mr. President, in a recent meeting with the onion importers plying the Niger route, it was disclosed to me that on average, an amount of $2 million was spent weekly to import onions. I deem this as an embarrassment.
Well, President Akufo-Addo was there to launch the program, said the Phase 1 reached 2.7 million farmers and others in the value chain. According to him, the second phase is a 5-year program and is to transform agriculture. Moving on, today on Stories of Hope, we take you to the vibrant streets of Accra, where two friends turned adversity into triumph, transforming their passions into thriving businesses. Emmanuel Tay and Emmanuel Tremanting, who despite facing challenges of job loss during the banking sector shakeup, have emerged as shining examples of determination. The following report delves into their journeys.
Hello. Yes, Quick Print Africa. Emmanuel here.
I listen to a lot of entrepreneurs.
In the heart of Accra, these two gentlemen have turned their passions into thriving businesses. Emmanuel Tai, 32, is helping a client find a rented apartment, and his friend Emmanuel Tremanting now constructs aquariums for homes and offices. But it wasn't all rosy 5 years ago, when these two were laid off their jobs.
Sources close to the Bank of Ghana indicate that the bank was forced to take the action.
To the government, it was a banking sector cleanup, but to employees, it was an unemployment crisis. Many employees went to bed and woke up the next day without a job. Tai was a victim of the restructuring and unexpectedly lost his position as an accounting manager at Beige Bank after 5 years. He said it was one of the lowest moments in his life.
So first of all, I lost my livelihood. I lost my lifestyle. You had a certain lifestyle. Imagine someone who was earning something little at the end of the month, and then all of a sudden I have to be home, and the idea of not having a job to go to itself became a bit depressing.
Just about the same time, Tremanting experienced the same predicament, and right from the breadwinner of his home, he started depending on his parents for handouts.
I was a field sale officer. As we go out and we speak to prospects on loans, we give out loans. Taking back is the problem, so I have to be laid off.
he began working menial jobs just to survive. However, unknown to them, these two were about to embark on remarkable journeys that would change their lives. And that's in our edition of Stories of Hope. There's more coming up in subsequent bulletin. And that's the end of the bulletin. In our top story, Ghana's security arrangement is compromised and has lost trust. That's the verdict of security analyst Professor Kwesi Aning. Business is next on the Super Morning Show.